Title: I thought my husband was cheating on me, but the truth about his stepsister destroyed everything. Chapter 1. Her eyes were always on him. I used to think I was just being paranoid. That maybe I was too sensitive or even insecure. But over time, those lingering doubts grew into something I couldn't ignore anymore. My husband and I are both 24. We've been together since college, and I've known his stepsister, Jess, for nearly 5 years. They always seemed too close. Sure, they weren't technically blood-related. His dad married her mom when they were both teens, and they only lived under the same roof for about a year and a half before he left for college. Still, something about Jess always rubbed me the wrong way. Back in college, she joined our university a year after us. My husband, boyfriend at the time, introduced her to our friend group and she fit in quickly. Maybe too quickly. She would call him bro, laugh a little too hard at his jokes and get touchy when she didn't need to. I convinced myself it was just her personality. I even told myself I was being crazy for thinking she was flirting with him. But now, years later, it hasn't stopped. It's gotten worse. Jess is still single and still clinging to him in ways I can't explain. At family events, she'll sit right next to him, sometimes with her head on his shoulder watching something on his phone. She's pulled away from me lately, barely speaks to me, and she texts him constantly. And it's not just normal sibling talk. I've seen the heart and wink emojis pop up when he's holding his phone. He always locks the screen too fast. Then there was our birthday party. Our birthdays are just a week apart, so we usually celebrate together. But this year, Jess bought my husband expensive gaming headphones and a watch. And nothing for me. Just him. She gave him a handwritten card, too. I never got to read it. He claimed he accidentally threw it away, but the envelope was still on the counter. That's when I knew something was off. But the moment that broke me? The 4th of July. We were all at his dad's place for a big cookout and pool party. In the water, Jess was hanging on him. Literally. Splashing him, wrapping herself around him like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like I wasn't even there. When I caught her staring at me, her eyes weren't embarrassed, they were angry. And that was before she walked in on us changing, with my husband completely naked. Chapter 2. The door she never knocked on. I couldn't shake the image of her, Jess, walking in on us like it meant nothing. We were in the guest room at his dad's house, just getting dressed after the pool. My husband was stark naked. I had barely pulled on a shirt when Jess opened the door without knocking. She didn't even blink. Just casually asked if she could borrow my hairbrush. No apology. No shock. Just a lazy smirk and a half-hearted, "Oh, whatever, he's basically like my brother," as she covered her eyes with 2 fingers. I was stunned. Not just by her audacity but by how unbothered my husband looked. Embarrassed, sure, but not angry. Not even surprised. After she left, I asked him why she always acts that way. He brushed it off like I was overreacting. But the energy between them had shifted. I could feel it in the way she barely acknowledged me anymore. And how my husband, who used to initiate our dates, our talks, our intimacy, was slowly pulling away. I started to feel like a stranger in my own marriage. Then came the night that changed everything. He told me he was going over to his dad's for the evening. I didn't believe him. Not anymore. So I followed. Drove over with my heart pounding in my chest. Only his car was in the driveway. I parked down the street and walked up slowly, quietly. The front door was unlocked, so I stepped inside. Voices from the kitchen. Yelling. It was him. And Jess. I couldn't hear the words. It was like my ears shut off while my brain tried to protect me. But I could see them, face to face, tense, heated. When he saw me standing there, he froze like a kid caught sneaking out. "What's going on?" was all I could get out. And then, I ran. Chapter 3. What he finally confessed. He caught up with me before I reached the car, grabbed my hand, pulled me into a guest room, begged me to listen. His eyes were red, his voice cracking. I'd never seen him like that. My calm, collected husband was falling apart right in front of me. "I'm not cheating on you," he choked out. "But I need to tell you something. Just, not here." I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted answers. But something in the way he was trembling made me give in. We drove home in silence, him sobbing quietly in the passenger seat while I stared straight ahead, numb. At home he couldn't even sit still. He paced like a caged animal before finally blurting out the story that would fracture everything I thought I knew. It happened in college, our junior year, her sophomore year. He was drunk. Their friends ditched him after a party. Jess offered to let him crash on her couch. She was an RA and had a single. He remembers waking up, with his pants down, and Jess on top of him. His voice cracked as he said it. I didn't even understand what was happening. I was out of it. Then I blacked out again and woke up in the morning. She was asleep in her bed. I left and never said a word. He hadn't told anyone. Not me, not friends, not even his therapist. He said he was ashamed, confused, and terrified. How do you tell people your stepsister assaulted you and they'll believe it? He buried it for years. Until she texted him again, the night after we announced we were trying for a baby. She told him not to go through with it. That if we had a child, we'd be locked together forever, and it would ruin their chance. She still loved him, she said. Thought about that night every day. And why did their parents have to marry? If they hadn't, they could have been together. He tried to shut her down. Told her he loved me. That he wanted a family with me. But that's when it turned into blackmail. Chapter 4. The family shattered. After hearing it all, I didn't even know what to say. I was devastated, furious, confused, but most of all, heartbroken for him. 4 years he had been carrying this trauma in silence. And Jess? She had been manipulating him, invading our lives, poisoning our marriage from the inside. I told him we couldn't pretend anymore. That he had to tell his father. We couldn't have someone like her in our lives, especially not if we were planning to bring a child into the world. At first he resisted. He was scared his dad wouldn't believe him, scared this would destroy what little family structure he had left. But I stood firm. He agreed to meet with his dad, alone. A week later he told his father everything. Showed him the text. Every horrible, twisted message she had sent. And to our shock, his dad believed him. But that was only the beginning. His stepmother didn't. She accused him of forging the text. Said he was lying to cover up his harassment of Jess. Even with the raw screenshots right in front of her, she couldn't, or wouldn't, see the truth. Jess started crying, screaming, denying everything. That's when my husband, shaking with years of pent-up rage, said if she didn't confess, he would go to the police. That he would file for a restraining order and let the court see everything. Jess crumbled. She confessed to it all. To what happened that night in college. To the messages. To trying to sabotage our marriage. It was like watching a dam burst, her whole act collapsing in front of her horrified mother. Now everything is broken. Jess was told she had 2 weeks to leave the house. My husband's relationship with his stepmother is fractured beyond repair. His dad is trying to process everything. And we've put starting a family on hold. My husband is in therapy now. We're both trying to rebuild trust, not because of infidelity but because of how deeply this deception embedded itself into our lives. I thought I was uncovering an affair. But what I found instead was a lifetime of pain finally coming to the surface.